Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Bacon. Welcome to the show, y'all. I'm going to jump right back into it. Now, look, Lulu is out back with the guys, right? And they're all talking about this day, and he's on spook. Especially, because he knows that he's the one that gave up the goods. Now, everybody's talking about how unfair it is, and then they're talking about how this letter done got returned to sender and all this and that, right? And here I am. I'm just sitting around. I'm listening. I don't even indulge no more. I don't get down no more. But I saw this as an opportunity. Yeah, this is an opportunity to break them down just a little bit. Because they need to stop. But listen to me. This is what I did. Check this out. Let me tell you what I did. This is what I did. So I'm listening to them talk and go over all this and that, right? And I remember in that moment one time when I got hit like that. This was years ago. I wrote a letter, to one of my guys talking about the business, do this, do that, and I need a little weed and all this, all kind of stuff. I said all kinds of stuff in the letter. Ain't got no business doing it, but I did it. Look, when you get arrogant in the game, when you start to lose your mind and thinking that you are above the law and you can do anything you want to do, the rules in your mind don't apply to you. And I'm talking about just rules of just common sense, not necessarily rules of the law. And you will try anything. You'll think that you're smarter than everybody, and then that's what I thought. I wrote a letter, told bro, take care of business. Never crossed my mind that he and his gal would be arguing. Just mad, she mad at him, upset at him, and wanted to do something to hurt him. And she knew how close me and him are. You feel me? So she said in her mind, all right, I'm going to do something to piss him off. I'm sending Joe's letter back, return to sender, and piss Joe off. And then Joe going to get mad at him, and then they going to get to arguing, and then they going to fall out. I'm going to show him. So she sent the letter back. I'm down in the school building, chilling, minding my business, teacher's aide, all this kind of stuff. They came down there and said, Joe. I said, what they do? They said, step in the hall. I said, for what? They said, there ain't nobody asking. This is an order. I looked at them. I seen that look on their face. Oh, they serious. So I stepped out in the hall. I said, what's going on, man? I got to, do my work. They said, oh, no. You ain't got to worry about that for the next few days. You finna go to the hall. I said, for what? They said, we don't know. We just got to call to lock you up. So they take him. They escort me out. They ain't put handcuffs on me right away, right? They escort me out. Now, when we get up outside the building on the sidewalk, they said, turn around. We got to put these handcuffs on. They put the handcuffs on me. They walk me up the sidewalk. Now, everybody looking at me like, what's up, Joe T? What's going on? I said, man, I don't know, man. I'll be back later, man. I don't know what they got going on, right? I'm thinking in my mind, okay, wait a minute. They ain't caught me with no dope. I ain't done nothing. So this is a mistake. Right. They get down there, and the lieutenant, he waiting on me. He got this look on his face. I noticed he got this envelope in his hand, but I ain't paying no attention to that, right? Because, of course, that ain't the business. So he takes me into the little office area. He set me down. He said, Joe? I said, what's up, LT? What's going on with you? He said, look. He said, I got a little bad news for you. I said, what's the bad news, man? He said, I got a little mail today about you. And I'm thinking snitch, no, something like that, right? He said, and he opened up the envelope. It had already been opened. He opened it up because let me tell y'all something. Your incoming mail, they open that. Yeah, they open that to make sure ain't no contraband in it. And every now and then, they can tell you whatever they want to. Their eyeballs get the wrong, especially when you somebody that they suspect of doing something, their eyeballs are wrong real fast over the letter. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator, and read the whole letter in 3 seconds. You see what I'm saying? And if they see anything out of the ordinary, we got it. So they saw some stuff out of the ordinary in the letter that I had written to one of my guys, right? So he said, well, we noticed that you were talking about me. He said, now let me just let you read it. So he, all arrogant and smug, right? He opened it up and he slid it across the table. Now, at this particular time, I ain't worried about nothing. I ain't nervous about nothing. I know this got to be the bluff. They done tried stuff like this before, trying to get me to break. They ain't gonna break me. You understand what I'm saying? So I looked down at the letter, right? As soon as I seen the top of the letter, right? I'm looking. I said, dang, that's bro's name, right? Okay, you know that part where I said they ain't gonna break me? Oh, he broke me right then, right? So I'm looking down. I tried not to look up, but I automatically looked up. I think I was nervous. I don't know what it was, right? I looked up, and he looked at me, and he had a smile on his face, right? So I looked back down. And I'm scanning over it real fast, doing my own Terminator thing, and I look at the letter. I said, dang, they got me. It's over with. And I said the first thing that came to my mind, y'all, I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm going to keep it real. You know how I do. I'm going to keep it real with you. He said, what you got to say about that, Joe? I said, look here, man. That's how black folks talk. He leaned back. It's this tall white man. You know what I'm saying? He about 6'6", 6'7". Just tall. Good dude. Chilling all the time. He leaned back in the chair and he started laughing. He said, Joe, of all the people, I didn't think you would pull the black card. And keeping it real, I'm going to keep it real with y'all. You know I'm going to keep it real with y'all. I started laughing myself. I said, look, man, what you want me to say? You feel me? This is how black people talk. He said, look, I'm going to tell you what. This is how the police talk. Stand up and go into the hole. You got some days. I'm going to have to investigate this and look into this and see what's going on, right? I said, man, I just told you what it was, man. It ain't nothing, man. Ain't nothing. I'm trying to get him to like, okay, I'm going to let you go. He ain't breaking it all, right? Because he had to get this to internal affairs. So I go to the hole. After a couple of days, internal affairs come over to talk to me. He said, Joe, what's going on? I said, man, I don't even know what LT got going on, man. I told him that's just how black people kicking. The internal affairs looked at me, right? He old redhead dude, right? You know what I'm saying? He cool, right? He looked at me. He tired because he been investigating people. I could tell he been reading notes all day or something, right? He was just tired. He said, look, Joe, I know you on some bull. But I've already talked to the warden about it. We ain't catch you with nothing and all this and that. Now, look, I'm going to let you out, but you're going to stay in here a couple of more days. I said, a couple of more days? Now, I'm thinking now, since he said he going to let me out, you know, I'm thinking about the pack I got coming in that weekend. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right then, man, that's what's up. He said, look, you know I'm watching. I said, yeah, I already know. You've been watching. So he lets me out. So that's what I was thinking about when I was out back with the guys and they were talking and Lulu was trying to figure out what was going on. So I walked over. I thought this was a teaching moment. I walked over there and then I sat down and they didn't think anything wrong because when I walk up on the group, I said, man, y'all on something? And they were like, no, Joe, you straight. So I sit on down and I'm listening to them, right? I said, man, you really believe that? Do you really believe that letter got returned to something? And they were like, man, that's what they saying. I said, who is they? And then one after the other was like, we don't know who they is. We don't know who they is. I said, who was the first person that said it? I said, do you think bro is that careless that he would do that? I said, this is what's going to happen. One or two things. I said, he going to get out. And if he get out and they don't charge him with introduction, right? Conspiracy to violate state law. All of these different types of things, right? Then something funny. Be leery. I said, but if they do charge him, right? They ain't really going to do much to him. They're going to put him back on the compound, put him back in his job because they probably opened that mail on its way out. And by that time, look, I'm looking at my periphery. You know, Lulu, he's sweating like a Hebrew slave. You understand what I'm saying? Look, he thinking I'm finna bust him out. But I don't know nothing about what Lulu done at this particular time. You understand? You feel me? So I'm like, look, somebody done said something. I said, but what y'all need to be aware of is this. This is where I lost him right here. I'll check this out. I said, what y'all need to be aware of, if they watching him, they watching y'all. How about that? They trying to figure out the whole scheme and then they going to hit all of y'all in the mouth. Simple as that. They looking at me like I'm crazy, like I done said something that was sacrilegious. You understand? And that's why I knew I lost them. I went a little too far, too fast. You see what I'm saying? So they started drifting off one by one. You know what I'm saying? And I can hear him, Joe T, you on that mess, man. Ain't nobody trying to hear that, man. We trying to get our paper right. And I'm like, I feel you, I respect it. You know what I'm saying? To the extent that I understand you need money, but you ain't got to do it that way. So they all start leaving, right? Except for one person, Lulu. Lulu standing right there. And I could see him pacing back and forth. I said, bro, you good? He's like, man, Joe T, I done messed up. I said, what you talking about? You done messed up. So he look around to make sure everybody's gone, right? But he looks around to make sure ain't nobody within earshot of what he was about to tell me. So I recognized the nervousness in him. I said, man, let's walk. So I get up and we walk to the whole other end of the blacktop where ain't nobody there and can't nobody hear us. You know what I'm saying? And he said, man, these folks done pulled me over, man, the other week, man, and caught me with some paper, got me down there and all this and that, man. And hey, and I looked at him, he couldn't even say it. I said, you told them folks what was going on? He like, man, Joe T, man, I wasn't trying to go to the... I said, man, these folks gonna kill you. What's wrong with you? I said, man, if you gonna play the game, you better play the game all the way. That's why I tell you, don't play the game, man. You can't stand the heat. Get out the kitchen, man, because it's real. And he said, man, Joe T, don't say nothing. I said, man, you know I ain't gonna say nothing, man. But look here, you got problems, man. I said, man, they gonna let him out, and he gonna figure out. He gonna figure out that they did not get that letter returned to sender. He gonna figure that out. He looked at me, he said, Joe T, how you gonna figure that out? I said, man, as soon as he get on the phone and call his gal. As soon as he get on the phone and call his gal gonna call his plug gonna be like, man, what's up? And then they gonna know, no letter ever reached them. Then he gonna start to think, okay, somebody told him. And then he gonna start to realize that ain't but a handful of people that know the move, his move anyway. Lulu standing there looking at me all confused and crazy and stuff like that, right? And I said, hey, bro. I said, what I recommend to you is you need to go straight. Clean up, walk away from that, and stay out of that. Because if you stay in it and they figure it out and you ain't coming clean, they gonna do it to you, man. They gonna do it to you. Lulu looking at me all crazy and whatnot, right? So look, let me tell you what he did. I'm watching him. We go back into the pod. He go up to the desk. He says something to the officer. A few minutes later, the phone rang. Right? Oh, excuse me, wait a minute. When he said something to the officer, he called somewhere for him, right? Now, I don't know if he calling for him or whatever the case may be, but the officer made a phone call. Then hung up the phone. Then a few minutes later, phone rang. A few seconds after that, the officer hung up the phone, wrote a pass. Lulu left the building. I'm watching. I said, oh, okay, here we go. Here we go. He go down front. He talking to the internal affairs. He tell the internal affairs basically what I just told him. You feel me? About he gonna call his gal this and that, right? So the internal affairs tell him, look, we can't block him from calling his gal. He ain't done nothing wrong with his gal. He ain't violated no phone policies or nothing like that. So he can call his gal. He said, but he gonna have her call dude and then they gonna figure out what I did and all this and that, blah, blah, blah. Internal affairs leaned back in his chair. Guess what he said? It's your problem. He said, you play, you pay. He said, man, but I tried to help y'all out and then you gonna turn on me like that, whoop-de-woo, all this and that, right? Internal affairs calmly looked at him and said, man, that's your problem. You the one gonna have to deal with that. But he said, you can help us. And if you help us, then I can help you. But ain't nothing free. Nothing. All you guys out there and gals that want to be in the business, ain't nothing free. So don't ever think that. So Lulu broke down because he's scared. Now he's nervous. Now he got to pick a side. What do you want me to do? And he said that, you know, Smoke finna get out. And when he get out, we need somebody to keep eyes on him. Let us know when he tries it again. But this time, we want to catch him. We want to catch him with it. Lulu panicked. He said, man, I can't do that, all this and that. I leaned back. Get out of my office then. Go on back to the unit. Lulu look out the window of the door in the internal affairs office. It's 3-4 inmates out there. They sweeping and mopping and buffing the floor. Oh, wait a minute. He didn't see them when he came in. He can't go out that door. He go out that door. They gonna see him, and then word gonna spread around the compound. Lulu was in the internal affairs office. Wait a minute. What's going on? What you doing down there? Smoking the hole. They might put the pieces of the puzzle together. He spooked. The IA leaned over and see what he see. He said, no, I said get out of my office. Lulu said, hold up, man. All right, hold up. What do you want me to do? He said, I told you, I want you to keep eyes on him. I need you to let me know what he's doing, when he's doing, and how he's doing it. And when he break out that stash, I need you to tell me where he puts it, where he hides it. Lulu looked at him and told him, he said, man, he don't let nobody see none of that. He said, well, you need to find out. You need to get up under him so he trusts you so you can find out what we need to know. And if you don't do that, don't come back down here saying nothing. And whatever happens to you, happens to you. They'll call a code. The police will come. They'll get there and then they'll help you. And then we'll go from there. If that's how you want to do this. Lulu gets up and he looks out the door. And he sees that all three of the rock men, they done broke down and gone, right? So he come up out the door without saying yes or no. And he leaves. He walking across the compound on his way back to the pod, looking all nervous and not understanding what's going on fully. Gets back to the pod. He comes into the pod. First thing he do is go get on the phone, call his mom. See, we got a habit of wanting to call mama when something's wrong. We can't figure it out. We need somebody to tell us everything gonna be okay. So he get on the phone, he talking to his mama. I ain't listening. They listening. The whole little crew, him, Smoke, Jay, they listen. So everybody is under surveillance. And they hear him telling his mom that he done messed up and he want to make it right and he want to start going to church and all these different types of things. I ain't hit the church yet. Want to do all these different types of things, but he's scared of what might happen. And she said, baby, tell me what you done. And he proceeds to tell her half of the story, not all of the story. And she tells him, look, just stop. Just stop. Don't do nothing to help the police. Don't continue to do all of that. Just get out of the way. Just stop. And let the chips fall where they may. If you back out of it, you might be all right. They won't see you as a threat. He left out the part that he was addicted. He couldn't tell his mama that. He couldn't tell her that. And he said, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Lying to her. He couldn't do it. So a few days later, Smoke gets out the hole. He did exactly what I told him he was going to do. He calls his gal. His gal called his plug on the other phone. She don't do no three-way call because, he know they listening at this point, and a three-way call to get your phone privileges suspended. She called his plug. His plug said, what a letter at? I ain't need no letter. What to do? All this and that, right? And he tells his gal, you know what I'm saying, to let her know that they said the letter was returned to sender. Now, he's trying to figure out, do I trust my dude or do I trust what's being said? He trusts his dude because him and his dude got a bond. Besides, the way the move is broke down, you know what I'm saying, it's some highly complicated stuff. Highly complicated stuff. It puts other people in jeopardy, but when you're in the game, who cares? Yeah, just like that. So now they starting to wonder, okay, how did they know what's going on, this, and that? And when you in the mud like that, you can find out things. Because people are always trying to find an opportunity, an angle, listen to me, to be able to get some money for themselves. And information is the top commodity in here. It's even higher than the dope. So he started to put feelers out, trying to find out what's going on, who put the leak out that the letter was returned to sender and all this and that. Come to find out, it came from IA. You feel me? Yeah, came from IA, put the leak out, spoke them all out. Now everybody's wondering, okay, if it didn't get returned to sender, then how did they know to pull the mail? And if they pulled the mail without a subpoena or anything like that, then they're in trouble. So Smoke says, I'm going to file paperwork on them and get them all in trouble. And then one of his guys, Jay, tell him, says, bro, leave that alone. Let's just pick up where we left off and move on. But Smoke's telling them, look, we got to find out who the leak is. We got to find out what's really going on, because if we don't find out who the leak is, this is all for naught. All they're going to do is get us again. Right? So Smoke is looking at Jay, and Jay is looking at Smoke, and Jay is thinking in his mind, get us. They ain't getting me. They got you. Now, he don't say that out loud, but that's how raw the game is. Now Jay is trying to figure out what's really going on. Has Smoke gotten scared? Is he going to be able to continue to eat? And what's up with Lulu? Lulu been acting funny. And if you want to know how this plays out, you're going to have to tune in to the next episode. You feel me? This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.